Good day to everyone. How's everybody's doing? I hope everybody is doing great and fine at their home, in their work, in your respective places. And I hope we are all well and practicing and following the minimum health standards of wearing face masks, wearing face shield, and social distancing, because this is also for the benefit of everyone. Okay, so it's just good that even though we have this crisis that we are facing, we are still able to teach and at the same time learn. For example, in our masteral classes, in the means of virtual learning process. Okay, so I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Datu Rafsanjani G. Aqua. So I will be your reporter, or I will be your teacher in our virtual reporting. Okay, so um, first and foremost, I'd like to share my screen. Okay, so before we go further with my topic, let's have a recap first. Okay, last meeting, Miss Farhana Abu Huraira tackled about the word formation processes. So as a review, we have what we call the back formation. It is a process by which new words are formed by deletion of supposed affix from a already existing word. For example, kettle, it becomes peddler, edit, editor, hawk, hawker, donate, donation, televise, and television. It's like a verb. It could also be a noun. Okay. For example, congratulations. Okay, becomes congratulate, or graduation becomes graduate. Okay. Word coinage or invention is the process whereby words are created outright, either deliberately or accidentally to some purpose. For example, okay, the new coinage words are for the new ideas, processes, products. Okay, words are more often created without basing on any other pre-existing words. For example, word coinage or invention is the Xerox or the Xerox that we have. Okay, and some other examples. Functional shift or conversation or zero derivation, okay, is the process by which new words are created by using a word in new functions without any change of its form. For example, water. Okay, give me some water, please. Okay, in this case, water is used as what? Okay, is used as a noun, as a subject. The children water the plants every morning. In the second sentence, the word water is used as a verb. Okay, so this is what we call the functional shape. The use of the word change without changing the word itself. Okay, that's functional shape. We also have morphological misanalysis. This is a process whereby new morphemes or words are introduced into the language due to an erroneous analysis of the structure of some words in which language speaker seems to see or hear familiar elements. For example, hamburger, okay, or burger. When we hear the word burger, uh, the misanalysis on this one, when we hear the word burger, most of the people try to connect it with like it's really a hamburger, nothing else. Okay. Whereas actually, when we hear the word burger, it may mean cheeseburger, okay, or any other types of burger, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's a hamburger. Okay. Another example is be or buy. Okay. It simply means bikini, because some people may misanalyze it like bi may be meaning bilingual, okay, or bisexual and so on. Well, actually, it's a bikini. Okay, this is morphological misanalysis. And then we also have ephonymy. Is a process by which several words or places, invention, and activities are derived from the proper names of persons somehow connected with such places, inventions, or and activities. For example, when we hear the word Washington, D.C., okay, commonly we always hear this one. Actually, this is derived from George Washington. Okay, District of Columbia. Actually, this is from Christopher Columbus. Or what? Okay, and then Watt is derived from the family name of James Watt. Sandwich, okay? Fourth Earl of Sandwich. Or denim, no? So this is actually derived from denims of France, okay? So as we all know, France, or yeah, in France, specifically in Paris, this is where actually fashion industry begins, okay? Now, for our subject for today, of course, we are still on the track of our subject ELT 221, or morphosyntactic systems of English. Okay, so for my presentation and my topic for today, it's about phrases and its kinds. Okay, so I will be introducing phrases, and at the same time we have 4 kinds, but I will only be introducing 2 kinds of the phrases because we divided the task with the next reporter. Okay, so first, allow me to present to you our objectives. Number 1, provide information about virtual teaching and learning process using types of prepositional phrases in sentences. Compose paragraphs with 2 types of appositive phrases. And number 3, respond to each one's responsibility to fight COVID-19. Okay, now, what is phrase? Okay, because we always hear sentence, clauses. But the question is, what is phrase? When we say phrase, it is a group of related words. It does not create a sentence. Okay, always remember that when we are talking about phrase, it's not a sentence. It doesn't have a complete thought. Okay, it has both a subject and a verb, functioning as a single part of speech. Okay, again, a phrase is not a sentence because when we say sentence, these are the group of related words that makes a whole sense or make a complete thought. Okay, that's what we call sentence. But when we say phrase, on the other hand, okay, phrase has both subject and a verb, which means it may have a subject, okay, but it doesn't have any predicate. Because verb can be found in predicate, okay? Which means it does not come together. There are times that it has predicate, but it doesn't have any subject. It has a subject, but it don't have any predicate or a verb, okay? In that case, it may be related, the group of words may be related with each other, but the thought is not complete. That is what we call phrase. And that is the difference between sentence and a phrase, because sentence always have a subject and a predicate. Subject, okay, the one being talked about, predicate, the information that tells something about this subject, whereas a phrase doesn't have, or it may have a subject, but it doesn't have any verb or predicate, or it may have predicate or a verb, but it doesn't have any subject. They do not come along. That's phrase, okay? Examples. Once in a blue moon, okay? This is example of a phrase because it's not complete thought. Once in a blue moon, then what? What's with that blue moon? Okay, it's not a complete thought. Actually, it's part of the predicate. All of my struggles, okay? This is part of the subject. A part of the subject that doesn't have any supporting information, doesn't have any predicate. All of my struggles, then what with your struggle? Okay? The new normal. Okay, subject doesn't have any verb. New normal. Then what's with the new normal? Always ask this, in order for you to identify whether it's a sentence or a phrase. The new normal. For us, if we say the new normal seems to be normal, okay, that's the time it's a sentence. So very risky, still a phrase. After a very long wait, okay, part of the predicate but doesn't have any subject at all. Behind the face mask. Behind the face mask is what? Okay, there is still missing information to make it complete, or to make the thought complete and to make it a sentence. Since we have this group of words related to each other, it's a phrase. Okay, behind the face mask. So this is an example of a phrase. In case it will happen again. Okay, in case it will happen again, then what? Okay, we still have missing parts on this group of words, related words. It may be related with each other, but the part of this group of words is still depending on something. It's still lacking of something. It's a phrase. Okay, a cool and wet. Actually, this is wet. A cool and wet afternoon. Okay, this is a phrase because you are not telling anything about what's with that cool and wet afternoon. Then what? Okay, then you have to complete your thought in order to make it a complete sentence. Okay, so this is the same. If you have this phrase, you can always make it a sentence as long as you put the missing part of that group of words or that phrase. Okay, if the missing part is a subject, then put subject on it. If the missing part is a predicate, then tell something about that subject to make it sentence. But in this case, as this presentation is projecting on your screen, okay, these following examples are all examples of phrase. Now, let me talk about prepositional phrase. Okay, this is the first type of the phrase. We have the prepositional phrase. Of course, from the word itself, preposition. Okay, so let's talk about or explore preposition. As we all know, this is part of speech, so this is just a form of review. You already know about this one, but we need to recall in order for us to master the so-called prepositional phrase. A preposition is a word that expresses a relationship between some words in a sentence, usually in regard to time, when, or space, where. Prepositions act similarly to an adverb. An adverb modifies a verb, adjectives, and other adverbs. They answer the questions. Okay? They answer the questions where, when, how, and to what extent about the words they modify. Okay, these are the common prepositions that we always encounter in different reading selection, for example, or when we are creating our own sentences, we may be using this one. So just a review. So these are the common prepositions being used: about, above, across, after, against, along, among, around, as before, behind, below, beneath, beside, between, beyond, but, by, concerning, despite, down, during, except, for, from, in, into, like, near, next, up, on, unto, out, outside, over, past, since, through, throughout, to, toward, under, underneath, unlike, until, under, up, upon, with, within, and without. Okay? Other than this, we have so many prepositions, but these are just some common prepositions that we may be using along the way in formulating our own sentences, or some reasons you may encounter this in some of the reading selections or books that you are reading along the way. Okay? Now, what's this? What is what we call prepositional phrase? Okay, when we say prepositional phrase, these are the group of words beginning with preposition, of course, and ending with a noun or pronoun, or what we call the OP. Okay, what is this OP? When we say OP, the object of the preposition. Okay, so again, prepositional phrase is a phrase, okay, group of words that are not complete, maybe subject, or maybe a part of the predicate only, and then always beginning with a preposition. Again, the preposition, the guide in the preposition that they have, that I presented to you earlier, are some of these common prepositions, and always ends with a noun, okay, or pronoun. It could also be pronoun because pronoun replaces the noun, okay? So pronoun is adjective, or the noun or pronoun is what we call now the object of the preposition. We call it the object of the preposition because it comes after the preposition. This is actually what is being modified by that particular preposition. That's why we call it the object of the preposition. For example, in my hair, okay, prepositional phrase, or the preposition is in. Okay, on the floor, preposition on, next to the tree, preposition is next. Beyond the forest, preposition beyond. Beneath, okay, preposition is the beneath, and then according to my mother, the preposition is according. Okay, and the following words are actually the object of the preposition. Now, the anatomy or pattern of the prepositional phrase to make it more clarified to everyone. With a friend, okay, prepositional phrase, of course, the with here, with is our preposition, and then the object of the preposition is the word friend, okay? With my parents, preposition is with, the object of the preposition is the parents, because this is the thing that being objected or modified by this preposition, okay? This noun friend and the noun parents. Other possibilities are pronoun, okay? Because earlier we have the noun. It could also be to me. Of course, preposition to, object of the preposition is me, which is actually a pronoun. Because pronoun, again, Could be adjective because pronoun replaces the noun to avoid repetition. Okay, that's some of the basic lessons in the part of speech. Now, because of the very fun lesson, okay, it could also be mixed with other um, words in a sentence, like because is the preposition, and the object of the preposition is lesson. Okay, the word the, very, fun are just ingredient or just part of this group of related words or a phrase that supports the object of the preposition, which is the lesson. Okay, but again, the object of the preposition is the word lesson, and the preposition is because. Now, let's explore the different types of prepositional phrases. Again, our first type is the prepositional phrase. We have kinds or under or subtopics with regards to the prepositional phrase, because a prepositional phrases could function as an adjective phrase. Okay, so let us explore about this one. A prepositional phrase used as an adjective. Again, an adjective is something, or it describes our subject or our noun or our pronoun. That is an adjective. Examples: the boy with the red hair is sitting next to me. Okay, of course our subject is the boy. Okay, our prepositional phrase is with red hair. Okay, our prepositional phrase is with the red hair because it begins with a preposition with, followed by the object of the preposition, which is the hair, and it functions as an adjective class because it tells something about our subject, which is the boy. Okay, and then second sentence, the girl sat next to the wall with windows. Okay, our prepositional phrase is with windows because it begins with the preposition with, object of the preposition, of course, the word window, and it is functioning as an adjective phrase because it tells something about what? The wall. Okay, again, prepositional phrase may function as an adjective. It still begins with a preposition, but we analyze further how does it function in the group of words or in a sentence. This phrase, okay, we could analyze it if it is modifying the subject, whether that's noun or pronoun. That's the time we could identify that this prepositional phrase is functioning as an adjective. Okay, adjective phrases, for example, or some or explanation answer the questions which one or what kind. Okay, when we are analyzing this type of prepositional phrase, whether it functions as an adjective or some other function, as we have in our next topic, okay, always ask this on yourself or with that sentence, which one, which, what, or what kind. Okay, always come after the nouns, they modify. They are always after a subject. Never begin a sentence and never come right after a verb. Okay, these are just some key points in order for us to easily identify the adjective phrases. Find, okay, just a small or fast activity or drill. Now find the adjective phrases in the following sentences. The man in the story had no friends. Scrooge was the man in the story. Scrooge was a friend to Barney. Scrooge hated charity of any kind. Barney became a ghost with clanking chains. Okay, I'll give you 10 seconds to say. Okay, time is up. Identify the adjective phrases. The answers are, okay, the man in the story had no friends. Of course, our adjective phrase is in the story. Okay, it begins with a preposition in, and it is an adjective phrase because it denotes or tells something about the man. Okay, Scrooge was the man in the story, still in the story because it tells something about the man. Scrooge was a friend to Marley. To Marley is our adjective phrase. Okay, it begins with a preposition to, and it denotes the word friend. Scrooge hated charity of any kind. Of any kind, okay, prepositional phrase that functions as an adjective because it begins with of, and it is an adjective because it tells something about the word charity. Okay, Marley became a ghost with clanking chains. With clanking chains is our prepositional phrase that functions as an adjective because it begins with the preposition with, and it tells something about the word ghost. Okay, I hope that is clear to everyone. Another one, find the adjective phrases in the following sentences. Sid dropped his pencil on the sidewalk. The cat in the tree suddenly meowed with all its might. 5 seconds to think. Time is up. Okay, our adjective phrases are, okay, Sid dropped his pencil on the sidewalk is our prepositional phrase that functions as an adjective because it begins with the preposition on and it tells something about the subject pencil. Okay, the cat in the tree suddenly meowed with all its might. Our prepositional phrase that functions as an adjective is in the tree because it begins with the preposition in and it tells something about the word cat. Okay. Another one, Sandy didn't know about the computer experiment in the lab. The short man in the wilderness seemed afraid of the twins at first. Again, still find adjective phrases. 5 seconds. Okay, let's reveal the answer. Sandy didn't know about the computer experiment in the lab. This is our prepositional phrase. It functions as an adjective because it begins in and it tells something about the experiment. The small man in the wilderness seemed afraid of the twins at first. Our prepositional phrase functions as an adjective. It's in the wilderness because it begins with the preposition in and it tells something about the man. Okay. If you don't have any questions anymore with our prepositional phrase that functions as an adjective, let's go further with another kind of prepositional phrase, but now functioning as an adverb. Okay, so as we all know, adverb denotes or describes adverb itself, verb, and adjective. That is basic lesson in our parts of speech. Okay, so it's still synonymous in understanding the prepositional phrase that functions as an adverb. For example, I sat with Sully at the seashore. Okay, our prepositional phrase that functions as an adverb is with the Sally at the seashore. Okay, because it describes the verb sat. How did Sally sat? Okay, or in what way Sally sat, or where did she sat? At the seashore. Okay, that's the time it is a prepositional phrase that functions as an adverb. Okay, we fished for hours. Okay, so our adverb here or adverb phrase is for hours because it describes the verb fished. Okay, on how or what time. Okay, what time did or how long? Okay, did the person fish for hours? Okay, I dropped my Coke can into the water. Into the water is our prepositional phrase that functions as an adverb because it begins with the preposition into and it describes the verb drop. How did this person drop his or her coat? Okay, in what ways or where did he drop into the water? That's the time it functions as an adverb. In the spring, I go to the beach. Okay, in the spring, okay, prepositional phrase that functions as an adverb and also to the beach. Okay, for more understanding, the truth about adverb phrases, they what? First, they can begin a sentence. Okay, just like our last example. In the spring, actually, this is a prepositional phrase that functions as an adverb. It begins the sentence before actually the word that it denotes, and it may also end the sentence. Okay, it will not immediately follow the subject. Okay, it can follow verbs, adverbs, and adjectives. These are actually the type of words that it modifies by this adverb and answer the questions like what or when, where, why, and how. Okay, always go back on this. Okay, how did or when did the subject of the sentence do this? Where did the subject of the sentence do this? Why did the subject of the sentence do this? And how to the subject of the sentence do this. Okay? Those questions, we always go back on that. Okay? For us to further understand the adverb phrases. Okay, think logically, there are only two kinds of prepositional phrases. We have adjective and adverb. And if phrase is not adjective, automatically this is a adverb. Okay, but for our further understanding, again, when we say adjective or prepositional phrase, it functions as an adjective. Of course, it begins with a preposition and it always denotes or describes the noun or the pronoun. Then a prepositional phrase that functions as an adverb, it begins, of course, with a preposition and it describes a verb, adjective, or an adverb itself. Okay, second type of the phrases. First, we have the prepositional phrase. Under the prepositional phrase, it may function as an adjective phrase or an adverb phrase. Now let's go further with the appositive phrase. Okay. Okay, this is for some part of the grammar unit. When we say appositive, is a noun or noun phrase that renames another noun right beside it. The appositive can be short or long combination of words. For example, the insect, a cockroach, is crawling across the kitchen table. Okay, actually our subject is the insect. Now, the further information about the insect is the word a cockroach. Okay, it renames another noun right after beside it. That's why this is what we call the appositive. The insect, a large cockroach, is crawling across the kitchen table, or the insect, a large cockroach with hairy legs, is crawling across the table, or the insect, a large hairy leg cockroach that has five bowl of oatmeal, is crawling across the kitchen table. Okay, it doesn't make any difference between this different examples, whereas our subject is still the cockroach. Okay, so no matter how long the information is, just right after the subject or the noun, okay, the noun phrase could be called as a positive, okay, because it renames right after the noun. Whereas in this sentence, the noun or the subject is the insect. Okay. Identify the positive or a positive phrase in the sentences below. Dante, a beautiful German shepherd, was my favorite dog. His car, a sporty yellow roadster with a sunroof, is brand new. Thomas Jefferson, author of the Declaration of Independence, did a great service to his country. And the armadillo, a scaly anteater, is a Texas symbol. Okay, I'll give you 10 seconds to think. Okay, time is up. Let's identify the appositive phrases in the following sentences below. The answers: Dante, a beautiful German shepherd, was my favorite dog. A beautiful German shepherd is actually a positive because it comes after the noun and it gives information about the noun that who is this Dante? Because without this appositive phrase, we may think that Dante is a person, right? A beautiful German shepherd. Okay. His car, a sporty yellow roadster with a sunroof. Okay, that's the appositive phrase. Right after the noun car, and it gives further information about the subject. Thomas Jefferson, author of the Declaration of Independence, did a great service to his country. Author of the Declaration of Independence is actually the author or the appositive phrase because it comes right after the noun and it gives further information about Thomas Jefferson. And then the armadillo, and then our appositive phrase is a scaly anteater, okay, is Texas symbol. Okay, the underlying word is our appositive phrase because it gives further information about what is this armadillo. Okay, so that is actually if we're going to analyze, appositive phrase is just easy to understand because it gives information about the noun and it always comes after right the noun or the subject. Okay, but further, let's discuss about its types. Now, to understand further, appositive phrases may begin or in the middle or in the end. Okay, because commonly most of the people could only identify, just like what I mentioned earlier, that commonly people could only identify a positive phrase like it comes after, right after the subject or the noun. Okay, not all the time. There are times that it may begin or in the middle or in the end. For example, when it begins a sentence, a hot-tempered tennis player Robbie charged the umpire and tried to track the poor man's skull with a racket. Okay, so this is actually a positive phrase because it tells something about our subject Robbie. Okay, tell something about our subject Robbie. Okay, and it begins the sentence. Okay, when it is right after the noun or the subject, or it is in the middle, basically, this is the common one. Robbie, a hot-tempered tennis player, charged the umpire and tried to crack the poor man's skull with a racket. Okay, so still a positive phrase, but right after the noun, or it can be found in the middle. And when the appositive ends with a sentence, it looks like this. Upset by the bad call, the crowd cheered Robbie, a hot-tempered tennis player who charged the umpire and tried to crack the poor man's skull with a racket. Okay, so that's the difference. Again, to clarify everything, a positive phrase could not only be found in the middle, right after the noun or the subject. It could begin the sentence or it could end the sentence. Okay, so identify the appositive phrases below. Alan, the chief executive of the project, has just called for a meeting. My close friend Layla writes good poetry. Denver, the capital of Colorado, is very beautiful. Mark was talking to Sheila, Bab's little sister. I'll give you 10 seconds to think. Okay, time is up. Okay, the appositive phrases are, let's see. Okay, the chief executive of the project is actually the appositive phrase because it gives information about our subject, Alan. My close friend, Layla, writes a good poetry. A positive phrase, my close friend. Now it begins the sentence and it is followed right after the subject. Denver, the capital of Colorado, is very beautiful. Now it's in the middle. Our subject is Denver and our appositive phrase is the capital of Colorado. Mark was talking to Sheila. Okay, Sheila is the subject and the appositive phrase it could now be found at the end of the sentence, which is Bob's little sister. Okay, there you have it. Now we have two types of the appositive phrase. It could be restrictive or non-restrictive appositive phrase. Okay, what is this restrictive appositive phrase? The second element limits or clarifies a word in some crucial way. Appositives that are necessary in order to comprehend the full meaning of a sentence should not be set up with commas. Okay, again, the restrictive appositives, we directly give the word or group of words or related words in a sentence or in a phrase, okay, without being set by the commas. So we use police officer Smith. Okay, so for example, the sentence, police officer Smith told my brother to file a report about his stolen bike. Okay, our subject is police. Okay, police officer, and our restrictive appositive phrase is police officer. Okay, the subject is me. My brother David likes spaghetti. Our restrictive appositive is my brother, and the subject actually is David. Okay, it was not separated by commas. That's restrictive appositive. Now, when we say non-restrictive appositives that are not necessary to understanding the sentence, it rather provides additional information about the noun being renamed. Non-restrictive appositives are set off by commas. Actually, this is the common appositive that we always knew, just like the previous examples that we have earlier. Okay, so this is the common one. The non-restrictive appositive. Mexico City, comma, the biggest city in the world, comma, has many interesting archaeological sites. Okay, so our appositive phrase, which is non-restrictive appositive, is the biggest city in the world. Why? Okay, because it gives information about Mexico City, and the main goal of the non-restrictive appositive is actually to give more clarification on the details of the subject, because it was set off by the comma. Whereas in the appositive phrase, which is restrictive, okay, still a positive phrase, but it doesn't have, or it doesn't give more emphasis because the sentence goes straight forward. Okay. My brother's bike, a dark green BMX, was stolen yesterday. A positive phrase, which is non-restrictive, is a dark green BMX, and which denotes or which describes or gives information about the or his or her brother's bike. Okay, so non-restrictive because it gives emphasis on what is that bike, and it was set up by the Congress. Okay, identify the appositive phrases below. Okay, non-restrictive and add necessary commas. Okay, an innovative writer, Leonard Cohen, grew up in Montreal, Canada. Okay, an innovative writer is our appositive phrase. My aunt Sandra always puts an exorbitant number of lights on her house at the Christmas. Okay, Sandra. Okay, this is actually the restrictive appositive phrase. I always enjoy spending time with my cousin Mallory. Restrictive. Toby, Beyond's 11 years old or year-old beagle, chews holes in the living room carpeting as if he were still a puppy. Okay, this is an example of non-restrictive appositive. Okay, for our assessment, again, it is very important that every right after the teaching or the input of a teacher, we always do the assessment or the quizzes or activities in order for us to assess on to what extent our students learn in this particular input or the subject. Okay, in 8.5, buy 13 bond paper, type, print, and compile your answers to the following. A, our first activity, give 5 example sentences that have prepositional phrases that function as an adjective, and then 5 sentences that functions as an adverb. Okay, underline the adjective phrases and put brackets on the adverb phrases. The topic of the sentences should be about the virtual teaching and learning process. 2 points each sentence. Okay, I gave 2 points because aside from you're formulating the sentence, aside from that, you'll be thinking about what is in this virtual teaching, teaching and learning process. And as I know, and I knew for a fact that you are familiar with this because you're all teachers, and if you're working teacher, then we all shifted in this type of teaching and learning process. You could tell something about me about this one. So using the prepositional phrase, the function as an adjective and function as an adverb. Second activity, compose 3 paragraphs essay. Okay, composed of 5 non-restrictive and 5 restrictive appositive phrases. Underline the phrases. The topic of the essay should be about your responsibility as a member of the family and citizen of the community in response in fighting on the threat of the COVID-19. Okay, this time I'll be giving 3 points each because aside from the fact that you will be formulating a sentence or a paragraph, okay, 3 paragraphs, of course, you should be aligning your paragraph with our subject, which is the responsibility, your responsibility as a member of the family and member of the community on what are we going to do to respond to fight the threat of the COVID-19. Okay? So I hope my assessment with this instruction is clear to everyone. So if you have any queries with regards with my lesson and with the assessment that I have, so I'm just 1 chat away. So thank you very much for listening, and I hope you've learned something in my discussion. Again, my name is Datung Rafsanjani G. Aqua. Have a great day to everyone. So God bless us all.